President Schultz's bold move pays off for the Pac-12.
The CFP and the PAC are always in the news, so we're back on the big mountain to keep you updated.
Hey, welcome back to the mountain. I am JY, and this is my good friend Steve. We want to welcome you here. We also want to remind you we do live episodes every week now. We actually have to shift from Wednesday evening to Thursday evening this week. So if you're interested in saying hello to us, we talk about the Mountain West, we talk about the Big Ten, we talk about the PAC usually and the ACC. We talk about all kinds of good stuff. Have a lot of fun. We're going to be doing it Thursday evening at 8:30 Eastern this week. So make sure you tune in. But this is about the Pac-12 and some changes that have happened to the revenue distribution model for them. So let's get into this. Early reports in mid-March of the new CFP revenue distribution model beginning in 2026 had Washington State and Oregon State as independents. They would be treated the same way as UConn with an annual distribution of $360,000 each. This would have been for the 6-year agreement through 2031. This would have been just a fraction of the $1.8 million for each of the G5 schools and almost 95% less than what they collected as a member of a P5 conference in the PAC. It was reported that every school would see an increase in the amount with the new agreement. That was kind of the headline. Like, everybody's getting an increase. Well, that clearly wasn't true with, Oregon State and Washington State. They were getting far less than what they would have been getting. It's been reported that many within college football, the college football arena, were shocked when this kind of came out about what was really going to happen with these two universities. Remember, in our last Pac-12 update, we mentioned that President Schultz has friends in other conferences. He's had communications with other conferences, and there was actually a G5, I believe it was a G5 conference, if I remember correctly. They came out and were like, we got your back. Like, we understand where you're at. We don't want to see anything, horrible happen to you two here, at least in the interim. And clearly that seems to be the case. I don't think, as my hook in the beginning was, I don't think this was just Schultz, playing his cards, to which he's played them fantastically. This had to be coming from some other presidents or somebody to get this thing done. So let's move forward about a week. And now we get news that the Pac-12 is going to be getting a much larger chunk of revenue here. When the CFP revenue distribution was finalized, they're getting much larger shares. Both universities will receive $3.6 million for the first 3 years of the contract. So that's 26, 27, and 28. Remember, we're also hearing that in 28, there's going to be this, are they calling it a look-in or something like that, to see if reevaluation, see if things need to be changed. Because I think everybody knows that expansion realignment's just going to continue to be making things different than what they are here today. No one knows exactly how this came about. We don't know the back dealings. We haven't really heard from anybody. Obviously there's a new commissioner there with Teresa Gould. I'm sure she was a part of it. I guarantee you Schultz was a part of it. But clearly, not many felt that $360K for these two schools, where they had been and what they had been accustomed to, was adequate for these universities. On top of this, the Pac-12 right now, it's March Madness, and they're doing reasonably well in the NCAA tournament right now. With every win that these basketball teams get in the Pac-12, that's revenue or revenue shares that's going to be going to the remaining PAC members in the future. So really some massive revenue additions, changes to where the PAC thought they were going to be early on. Well, not early on, just a few weeks ago, to where it looks like they're going to be, both because of the CFP finalization and because of what's happening in March Madness right now. Again, some great news for Oregon State and Washington State, but remember, this money is owed to the PAC. If it dissolves for whatever reason, I'm not saying it will, but if it does, the revenue earned by these agreements would revert to the current 12 schools. Also, a merger of the PAC it could create some uncertainty as well. It's unclear what would happen with the CFP distributions if there's a merger of what is now the PAC-12. And yes, there is a PAC-12 conference for the next 2 years. We all know that. But if they merge, we'll have to see what maybe would come out of those revenue distributions. And so while some of the news had been not looking so good for those two schools, things have turned around greatly for them. Solid financial footing. And as we have said before, Steve, I'm going to take one of the terms that you like to use, a solid bridge to get them to the future. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so, I've been complimentary of Schultz really since all of this came down. Yeah. We had some questions at different times, how he was playing his cards. Was he making friends? Was he making enemies? Was it smart short-term versus long-term? And those were open questions. At this point, to me, it seems pretty clear to me, the PAC was dealt a crap hand, with everybody else leaving, the last two schools remaining. But Schultz really has taken the lead, and I know we have a new commissioner now, but throughout this, he has really taken the lead, and in my opinion, he turned a crap hand into, a good payoff for those two remaining schools to help them, what you said, build that bridge to whatever comes next. So I have nothing but good things to say about Schultz. I think at this point, he has to look out for his school, his university, which I think he's doing and making the best he possibly can. And then also looking out for the PAC as a whole, the remaining, it's only two for now, but whatever it becomes later on, he is doing his duties to both entities, and I think he's doing a great job. Yep. And it just has continued to pay off. You go from the worst possible set of circumstances to, I think he's making the best of a crappy set of circumstances.
Yes. Well, and there was, just to put some numbers to this, there was a Wilner article. Now, this is a little bit dated when we're recording this and when it's going to come out. There's games happening right now.
Yes.
But I believe, when you kind of looked at the doom and gloom of where things were in mid-March, so only 2 weeks ago, of this dramatically reduced CFP model, the unknown of what the basketball teams were going to do, it was something like $8 million or something like that. You fast forward to now knowing what the new distribution model is finalized as, and then also the wins that have come out of the tournament for the Pac-12, it's somewhere close to $40 million and could keep going up as teams are potentially going to keep winning in March Madness. So a dramatic change of events, over 4 times the amount of revenue from a week, something like that. I mean, it's incredible. And to your point, they've played it about as well, I think, as you could. They've got these 2 bridge years. I see them using both years. Yeah. We weren't sure for a while. Is it just going to be 24? Are they going to use the 25? Given the fact that, I think in order to recoup some of these revenues, now this CFP obviously doesn't start until 26, right. So we'll see what happens there. I just think there's no rush for them right now. I think financially for the next 2 years, it's unlikely to get any better than what they already have. So why are you going to disrupt something to lose, right? So things I think for now are settled down quite a bit. We'll see what happens come, fall. We did a report. The last one we did was on some of the Canzano reporting about things. I kind of threw some shade at some of that in this whole June 30th situation. I don't think there's much there. But anyway, I don't want to go back and relive that episode. We already talked about it. So, yeah.
So I want to take this back for a moment, back to last fall, late summer and into fall. As we covered the court cases, Judge Levy's courtroom. Shout out to Judge Levy. I hope when his retirement is official, we want to get him on the show.
Yes.
So if anybody out there, if you know Judge Levy, you have contacts with him, whatever, talk to him, tell him to come on the big mountain. But going back to his courtroom, there was a lot of people that criticized the Pac-2. What are you doing? The remaining 2. What are you doing? Just let them, close up shop and leave and go find somewhere else to be. But Schultz, both of those schools, they fought and fought to retain whatever they could. And there was a very good possibility if they didn't get a ruling, if they didn't get that temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction, that the other PAC members that were leaving could have easily just shut down that conference, sold off the assets, split up the money, and left out of town. But Schultz said, no, you're not going to do that. we're going to keep on fighting, and they've continued to fight, and it's paid off over and over again. Now, it could have gone either way, but they got those couple rulings they were looking for, and the state Supreme Court didn't, decide not to take it up. So it's paid off. They've continued to hold those assets and build on those assets, which is giving them life. It's giving them time. Like you said, I agree. It's probably going to be 2 years, and we'll know a lot more about the future of college athletics in 2 years.
Yeah.
But it gives them some time, some breathing space to continue to operate, to give those student athletes at those two universities a chance to keep playing their sports and have their scholarships and do everything they were doing. It just gives them time and breathing space. So I commend Schultz a huge amount for this.
And as I said before, I am excited that they, at least for this year, and I think 2 years, will be playing football in the Mountain West. I'm excited we get to keep covering them from the football side of things. And so props to Schultz, props to the PAC, getting as much as they possibly can. Again, playing their cards fantastically. And with that, hey, we just want to say thank you guys for watching. Remember, live episode Thursday evening, 8:30 Eastern. Hope to see you there. And that's it for the Big Mountain.